Good afternoon. Welcome and thank you for joining us here in the Ferris Theater in the Lexington Public Library, and to those of you listening or viewing at home. My name is Tammy Fagley, and I, along with Shayla Johnson, we are members of the League, and we are going to be serving as moderators for this afternoon's forum. This forum is for the Democratic primary for the County Judge Executive, and it is being sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Lexington, as well as the Lexington Public Library and the Frankfort-Lexington chapter of the Links Incorporated. This forum is being videotaped and will be available for later viewing. Just check the library and the League websites for schedules and links. We are following the League of Women Voters policies and procedures for this forum. We have randomly drawn for the order of opening remarks and questions, and we'll use the same order for closing remarks. The candidates will each have 90 seconds to introduce themselves, 90 seconds to respond to questions, and then 90 seconds for closing remarks. Today's candidates are, on the far end, Mr. Don Blevins Sr., and then we have Mr. Eugene Kiser. And so now we're going to go to Shayla with questions.
Welcome, gentlemen. We are so glad to have you here at our League of Women Voters Forum. And we're going to start out with opening remarks on behalf of each of you. So, Mr. Blevins, if you'd like to start off.
Well, thanks to the League for putting this forum on. I'm Don Blevins, as you said. I'm the senior version. My son is by the same name, so you invite you to keep us separate. Although I claim him, I'm not sure about him claiming me. But I have served this county and this state for 35 continuous years. First, 8 years on the Urban County Council and 27 years as county clerk. I've registered a myriad of voters, and I think you're going to see this year a onslaught of voters because the electorate out there is upset. The county judge executive position is not huge in importance, but it is important, and it's important that you select somebody who has the competence that can keep competence in county government offices. Thank you.
Mr. Kiser.
My name is Eugene Kiser, and I'm a candidate for the Fayette County Judge Executive position. I moved to Lexington. I was born in Harlan, Kentucky, but my family moved to Lexington when I was 8. I graduated from Lafayette High School, graduated from Morehead State University with a geography and history double major. I'm the father to 3 sons, grandfather to 6 grandchildren, and great-grandfather to 7 great-grandchildren. I'm a widower. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I have 45 years of state government experience. During that 45 years, I held several positions, the last being the Homeland Security Advisor to Governor Beshear, and also the Executive Director of the Office of Homeland Security. I'm interested in this position because, number one, it is a constitutional position. It is an important position, even though its duties have been reduced by the Urban County Charter, but the position still is important, as along with the other functions of the fiscal court. I appreciate y'all having this forum today, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And Mr. Kiser, this question will go to you both. And Mr. Kiser, you will start first. And these questions have been generated from the League of Women Voters and also members of our audience. And the first question is there anything you would do to streamline the functions of this office of County Judge Executive?
Well, the Urban County Charter sort of streamlined those on their own. The important thing is the number one thing is the distribution of the state road funds to those portions of the county that are no longer in the urban service district. It's important that this person is able to fill any vacancies of county positions when they open up. I think we're a lot better off than the Jefferson County Judge Executive, whose all of their duties were stripped away when they went to the metro government. I disagree with candidates that campaign on the single plank of doing away with the position. It is a constitutional position. all 120 counties would have to vote on that. I seriously doubt if all 120 want to get involved in a local fight on the judge executive's position.
And Mr. Blevins, the same question, I'll repeat it. Is there anything you would do to streamline the functions of your office that you're running for?
Since we're nearing 50 years of unigov, merged government, however you want to refer to it, and since that when we adopted the charter, they studied the makeup of the county for 2 years, as I recall, and so the streamlining has been pretty well accomplished over those nearly 50 years. I want to also tell you that there's been a lot of suggestion over the years that the position should be abolished, and if somebody had a magic wand, that would be okay. But in 118 of the 120 counties, it's a very important position, and it is the chief executive administrative officer of the counties of Kentucky. And if you put that on, it has to be voted on and be on the ballot in all 120 counties. It's not worth the money to do it. It doesn't cause any problems, and that would be a fool's errand to try to abolish it, because the other 118 counties are going to be telling the citizens of Kentucky how much they want to keep it, and we here in Louisville, in Lexington and Louisville, trying to tell the whole state that it should be abolished would just be whistling Dixie.
Thank you. Mr. Blevins, we'll start with you for the next question. What are your plans to make the office more relevant in the urban county setting?
Well, I have to be straight with you. That question probably doesn't have an application, because its duties are listed in Kentucky law, and it's also boundaried by the Urban County Charter. So there's not a whole lot that we who would hold the office would be able to do to make it more relevant.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kiser, the same question. What are your plans to make the office more relevant in the urban county setting?
Although the position doesn't have that many duties, I think I would want to be visible at the urban county meetings to let them know that there is somebody there from the county there to help them. There's, just being visible, I believe, would be one thing. When I tell people that I'm running for judge executive, so many of them say, I didn't even know we had one. And I really think that's wrong. Of course, working for state government for 45 years, I'm a government person, and I think the position is important, even though, the duties are less than what they have in Bourbon County or Woodford County.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Kiser, we'll start with you for this next question. What are the 2 to 3 most important issues facing the county judge executive in the coming year? Choose one and tell us what you'll do to resolve it.
From talking with people on Urban County Council, it seems like the #1 issue is the distribution of the county road funds that we receive from the state. This would be for those parts of the county that's not on the urban service district map. I've been told that they've been, the council is kind of not happy with the way that the funds are distributed. I believe that, if I would be elected to the position, that I would go out and get with the council people, find out what areas of their district that they're interested in, and better improvements of the roads, and just see exactly what the conditions of the roads are there. Would hope that there wouldn't be any vacancies in any of the county positions that we would have to appoint someone to, but if we ever did, we'd take applications of interest in the position and then pick the best person for the job. There's, the judge has the ability to marry folks, would be available for that, sign extradition papers for law enforcement to go out of the county to get folks. There's a number of duties that the that the folks do not know about, and I would be able to do all of them.
Thank you, Mr. Blevins. The same question. What are the 2 to 3 most important issues facing the county judge executive's office in the coming year? And choose one, and please tell us what you'll do to resolve it.
Well, the most important duty of the county judge executive would be if there's a vacancy in one of several county offices. And that would be a sudden thing, generally speaking, death or resignation or something of that nature. And those would be very important, and those would be not foreseen at this moment. The regular duty every year would be making sure that the County Board of Assessment Appeals is staffed with competent appointees, and there's some guidance in the statutes to do that. And the PVA reassesses the various parts of the county once every 4 years, and there's a rotation there, and each year the Board of Assessment Appeals gets a good deal of interest. So it's the regular that are you run into the most, and the appointing to vacancies is an extremely important, but you don't know that they're going to crop up until they do.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will start off with Mr. Blevins. What is the relationship between the county judge executive and the mayor's office, and what are your plans to work with the mayor if you should be elected?
Well, first of all, I'm a huge advocate of merged government. I was fortunate to serve on the very first Urban County Council and worked with then Mayor Foster Pettit. And so there's no requirement, but in wanting to see Urban County government reach its heights that it can reach, I would be willing to work with the mayor and council on every issue that they would ever see that I could help them with.
Thank you, Mr. Kiser. The same question. What is the relationship between the county judge executive and the mayor's office, and what are your plans to work with the mayor should you be elected?
I believe that the relationship should be very good. I don't know if it is or not right now. We had a vacancy of over 3 or 4 months that we didn't have a county judge this year. I'm like Don. I'm in favor of urban county government, merged government. I would offer my services to the mayor or his legislative group to assist him in Frankfort. By working in Frankfort for so many years, I know a number of the legislators over there on both parties, and try to help them out with that. Follow the mayor's legislative plan in Frankfort, and just be available to do whatever. I mean, it's not a full-time job, but I would be available full-time to help the mayor and the council out.
Thank you. Mr. Kiser, this question will go to you first. Since every other county surrounding Fayette has a county judge executive, does it make sense for our county judge executives to work toward regional cooperation?
Well, of course. Just like we have the urban county government here, we still need the regional efforts of all the counties surrounding Fayette. That's roads, environmental issues, law enforcement, fire services. So, I mean, we are a group anyway. There is the Bluegrass Regional Emergency Response Team. That Fayette County is a big part of that. So we're already there, and, I know most of those judges anyway from my work with the state. So it's important.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Blevins, same question. Since every other county surrounding Fayette has a county judge executive, does it make sense for our county judge executives to work toward a regional cooperation?
Well, certainly it does, but one, in analyzing the position in Fayette County, has to understand that it's a position that has to be supportive of the mayor and council and not the lead in organizing with the other counties. Certainly would be willing to work with all the other counties, and most importantly, like Gene says, we would like to work in coordination with Urban County Council and Mayor.
Excellent. Mr. Blevins, we'll start back with you again. Why are you running for County Judge Executive?
I guess the main reason is that I am an advocate of what we did back in 1972 to 74 and put two governments together to make one. It's far more efficient, it's far more public spirited, and I want to make sure that remains. Second thing is that those positions that it appoints, if there is a vacancy, are extremely important. And third, the government operates on tax dollars, and you must keep competent people on the County Board of Assessment Appeals. So my position is I want to support it from having worked in it and also knowing how well we have benefited from the urban county form of government here in this county.
Mr. Kiser, same question to you. Why are you running for County Judge Executive?
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but when I was growing up, my mom and dad instilled a very heavy work ethic in me. My very first job was picking strawberries at the University of Kentucky experimental farm on Nicholasville Road. I was a busboy at Frisch's on Harrodsburg Road. I worked at Blazer Hall Cafeteria while I was still in high school. And I've worked all that time. My last job in state government was a gubernatorial appointment. When we got a new governor a year or so ago, I was given a half an hour to get out of my office. I wasn't really ready to quit working. I have worked some part-time jobs in the 2 years that I've been retired, and I want to go back. I enjoy working with government. I've never been ashamed to say I worked for government, and the judge executive job with its limited responsibilities is something that I know how to do. I won't have to be taught to be a judge executive.
Thank you. Mr. Kiser, you will begin with our next question. What criteria would you use to fill the vacancies as they become available in our government?
I would first ask for applications to the position. I would have to check their background, how well they've done in the community, how well they've done in the jobs that they have, and then, make the best selection from that. I mean, we cannot appoint the PVA, but we can the sheriff, the county attorney, county clerk, the coroner. So, I mean, there's distinct things that you have to be able to do to hold those positions. So the criteria, we'd have to have history of working in those types of jobs.
Okay. Mr. Blevins, the same question. What criteria would you use to fill the vacancies as they become available in the county government?
Well, I would advertise the fact that the opening is there if it's sort of private. If it's publicly known, you'll get a fair amount of applicants. I would make my selection on the basis of competence and character. I'm a big advocate that truth and competence and character matters.
Thank you. Mr. Blevins, we'll start with you for this next question. What distinguishes you from your opponent, and why should we elect you over Mr. Kiser?
Well, I'm going to leave that to you to make that a judgment. I offer to you what my background and my education and my service to this county. And so far as I know, I served the county 35 continuous years with scandal-free and operated an office that I think if you'd ask all the county clerks in the state, they would tell you that I was a leader among those people.
Great. Mr. Kiser, the same question. What distinguishes you from your opponent, and why should we elect you over Mr. Blevins?
This is joking, but when I first filed for the judge executive position, I was worried that I was going to be the oldest one in the race, but Don getting in has alleviated that from me. So we're all members of AARP, so we're fine with that. I've got 45 years working for the state. There were some jobs I was successful in, some jobs I weren't. I believe in running a good shop, a clean shop. You go by the rules. You don't deviate from the rules. You earn the money that you're paid. I'm not, I never was an 8 to 4:30 person. I was there before 8, and I stayed until the work of that day was over. And that's the same thing I would do in this position.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Kiser, this will be our last question before we go into our closing remarks, okay? What other government offices or private sector organizations should your office, should you be elected to the County Judge Executive Office, coordinate with? Who should your office coordinate with? And how will you ensure effective collaboration with these other groups or agencies?
Well, that's a difficult question. Since the judge executive here has so few responsibilities, the judge in other counties are responsible for the budgets of all the different county offices. It's a much more busier job than this would be. I've always believed in getting along with the people that you work with, the different people that the offices. There's plenty of times that you can get in a fight in politics and political offices, but when I was in positions responsible for offices or responsible for programs, I never got into that. So you just need to get along with the people that you work with and do the best job you can while you're working with them.
Thank you. And Mr. Blevins, the same question. What other government offices or private sector organizations should the County Judge Executive's Office collaborate with and work with? And how will you ensure this effective collaboration with these groups or agencies?
Well, you have to remember that the county judge executive position in Fayette County is a supportive position as opposed to a lead position. And the one thing that you have to be willing to do is support the mayor and council and not get in their way or not trying to usurp what they're responsible for doing. So I'd always be very cooperative with the mayor and council in carrying out whatever it is that the county wants to be done.
Okay. Thank you. And now we will go start with our closing remarks, and we're going to do them in the same order in which the introductions were given. So, Mr. Blevins, is your turn.
Thank you. I only get 90 seconds.
You only get 90 seconds.
Thank you very much again for having the forum. I offer you a lot of years of experience, known public performance, and this position is one of importance for the county to make sure it's operated with character and competence. And I would really appreciate your vote in May. Thank you.
Mr. Kiser.
Okay, I also request consideration of your vote for May 22nd. Don and I both put ourselves up and available to the public. I appreciate the forum today so we can get some of our ideas and knowledge of us out to the public. I'm interested in the position. I wouldn't have filed for it if I wasn't interested in it and wanted to do it. So I really request your vote on May 22nd.
Thank you so much, audience. Let's give our candidates a hand. Thank you, candidates, for participating today. And thanks to our sponsors, the Lexington Public Library, the League of Women Voters of Lexington, and the Lexington-Frankfort chapter of the Links. You will be able to find more information about the candidates for the primary election on the League's website online at Vote 411 and in our voter guide. Search for Vote 411 after May 3rd. It will be accessible at that time. Be sure to vote in the primary election, please. The election will be Tuesday, May 22nd, and thank you all for joining us.